Yo, what's up, guys? My name is JYellowL, and you're about to listen to my In Conversation with JYellowL. Shout out to the lads. Brilliant conversation. Stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to In Conversation with. I'm your host, Gavin Kelly, joined once again by my lovely co-host, Colin McDonald.
How are you doing, Gav?
Not too bad, not too bad. So today we are joined by one of the rising stars in Irish hip-hop. He's had a great year. He's headlined Whelan's. He's headlined a show in London. He's been at festivals, and he's got a highly coveted spot on the FIFA 20 soundtrack, as well as releasing singles into a lead-up of an album next year. So we're delighted to be welcomed by JYellowL. How are we?
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here. You know what I mean, I'm just taking everything in at the moment. I don't do that enough, so
Yeah.
that's what I'm in the process of, taking everything in, but also working away and being patiently persistent.
And this will be a nice opportunity for you to reflect on what you have done, because we're going to talk through your career so far and all the highlights and everything. So
cool.
Yes. So Gav, do you want to kick us off?
Well, look, I guess we'll just start. You didn't arrive to Ireland initially. You were born in Nigeria, correct?
Yeah.
And so, from an early age, when did music develop while you were living in Nigeria?
So music has been in me. Music is like a bug, I've heard several people say it, and it's like when you have the bug, you have the bug, and it's been embedded in me for as long as I can remember. Like my mom always tells me about how when I was a baby, I'd always be like, before I could even talk, I'd always be like making like drum sequences and like little beats, and they'd actually be on beat, and I believe that because the rhythm is inside of me. So I've been doing music for as long as I can remember, man. Just writing songs, making melodies, like messing around basically, just as a kid or whatever. My parents, my family, I'd say they were big music listeners. My dad was in a band when he was younger. He was a drummer. He was a big music head, so I got into so much of his music, like the old music, the soul music, the Fuji, the Afrobeat, the reggae, the funk, the calypso, all them Fela Kuti, Harry Belafonte, Majek Fashek, you name it. And then he introduced me to my first hip-hop album, which was the Eminem Show.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when I really fell in love with it, because I was like, okay, all the people that I idolized, like Fela Kuti, Bob Marley, they have message in their music. They clearly have a message, but then they'd have like a whole song which would span over 3 minutes or 4 minutes, and they'd speak about one topic, because they'd be very focused. But then I listened to the Eminem Show, and I was like, this guy has the same 3 minutes, 4 minutes, but he talks about like 100 things. Everything in this like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. So I was like, I want to have that same message. I want to be able to have a message, but I want to be able to have more than one message at a time, you know what I mean? So I was like, because I have a lot to say and all that, so I was like, I really like hip-hop. That's when I started getting into like rhyming patterns, rhythm, flows, educating myself, became a student, just let myself become engulfed in it. So
You've spoken before about how you don't like to be pigeonholed into a particular genre or subgenre, and it seems from you talking there that you're growing up and the different music that you're being introduced to had a direct effect on that.
Most definitely, like, because as a music fan, I listen to so many different types of music. So it's like, if I like this type of music, I would want to kind of make this type of music as well. So in that respect, how could I'd be shortchanging myself if I just stuck to one genre of music, or if I didn't have any fusion, or any kind of, what I mean? So I don't like to stick to one thing. I'm very experimental. My producer will tell you that. Come with some random stuff, and we just, that's how I like it to be as well, because, I think as human beings, we're very multifaceted. And that's the same thing. If I'm multifaceted in personality, then I'll be multifaceted in music, and that's how I am. And that's, you know what I mean? It's good.
So you mentioned born in Nigeria to Nigerian and Jamaican parents.
Yeah.
What was the pull to Ireland then? What brought you over here?
My parents split up, and my mom actually moved to Ireland down the line with, with my little brother. So my big brother and I grew up in Nigeria, and then when we got to, I think I was about 14, we got 14, and I was like, no, I want to grow up with my mom. You know, I've missed this much of my life growing up with her. I want to be able to grow up with my mom, so I made the decision to just come to Ireland and start life here.
What was there a culture shock moving here?
Of course, there's a big culture shock. It's like there's two completely different ways of life and ways of seeing things, atmospheres, climates, everything. Everything is different.
And did it take you a while to acclimatise then, or?
1,000%. I was thrown straight in because when I came.
At 14, you'd be like that's about second year in secondary school.
Yeah, but I couldn't even get into second year because I couldn't get into second year because I came in like March or no April. Okay. So then I had to wait it out till third year. So when I got into third year, everything was mad. But luckily, I went through the school system because I had time to find my feet and being able to discern who I am and things that are me and things that aren't me, things that I'd like to get involved in, things I didn't want to get involved in, like just how to navigate socially and just, you know.
So you think if you came here at a later age, let's say 17, 18,
it'll be a lot harder.
Your life would be a lot more different.
A lot different, man. A lot different. Like my big brother, he came around that age and he had to go straight into college. I remember mine in college, everyone has already gone into like their little sex and everyone knows not necessarily, but they know how to navigate. They know what is deemed socially acceptable.
Socially comfortable.
You're socially comfortable, you get me? So you have to throw yourself into an uncomfortable situation of having to, you know, make friends, relate to people who, you know, in a different setting. Whereas if you're thrown into a classroom and your teacher is like, this is the new student, you know what I mean? You have to introduce yourself to everyone. You go on break and you're playing football. You know, you have all this time to kind of make friends and learn, learn the society, and you don't really have that in college. So it's a lot tougher and a lot different. So I'm happy I came young.
Yeah. Well, like Blanchardstown was where you were originally, wasn't it? And then you moved to Newbridge later. And in your songs, you've reflected on Blanchardstown and kind of the gang culture there and just kind of the way of life. Reflecting on it now,
gang culture would be a bit deep. I wouldn't really call it gang culture. It wasn't really gang culture. It's just you just have friends. You may have a big friend group, an extended friend group, and you just, you know, doing young stuff. You know what I mean? Being kids. You know, they say they might see you as being hooligans, but you're just being kids. You know what I mean? So it depends.
Absolutely. And in your song Tech Time, you reflected on how the Irish music scene is kind of aping the UK drill scene.
Yes.
And did you see that in Blanchardstown, or was it kind of inspired by that, or is it something you've only recently noticed?
It's all over, man. It's in like a lot of the urban environments, and I don't blame the people in those environments. Like, I don't blame those kids because they don't have any real representation in mainstream media. So obviously they're going to emulate people who are from similar realities and are represented. You know what I mean? If there were people from their own, you know what I mean, environments and their own realities in the mainstream media, and like they can completely relate with this person and their music resonates with them because these are experiences that they've been through or are going through, then of course they'd look up to them and emulate them. But you know what I mean, we don't have that, so they tend to look for the closest things, which are the guys in the UK who are also immigrants of, you know, generations or whatever, or in urban environments, or the guys in the US and all that kind of stuff. So I don't blame them. It's just we just lack representation. And when I say we, I mean the people from these urban environments in Ireland, because our reality is different to the ones in the UK per se. You know what I mean, or the ones in the US. So I think, yeah, that's what my goal is, my purpose is, to be that representation, because I'm someone from that reality, and I know that a lot of the things that these boys talk about, they're not living that. I know that because I know a lot of them, but they think, oh yeah, it's just music, whatever, and it sounds cool, and this is just, but nah, that's not your reality. I'm big on authenticity, so I know that it's important to be yourself, and that's what I'm trying to inspire in the youth.
So you're more advocating for like the Irish hip hop scene to make its own identity, separate itself from the other cultures. Yes,
separate itself from other culture, and don't forget within each culture there's going to be little like subsects. You know what I mean? Subculture. So like we do need to have our identity, but it doesn't necessarily need to be an overall shared identity. But like as long as it's authentic to us, and then we can have that commonality of we're all from Ireland. We're all speaking about our various realities in Ireland. Like look at the States, for instance, or no, look at England. That's closer. Look at England. The people in London, they have their own way of, they reflect their own environments in their music. The people in Manchester reflect their own environments in their music. People in Birmingham reflect their own. Even the people in North London, South London, East London, West London, they reflect their realities in different ways. You know what I mean? So we need to have that. It's not a shared reality, but there's that commonality in the fact that we're all from this place and we're expressing our truth about this place, and we're just, reflections of our environment, and that's what we need to do.
And that idea of being yourself, letting your own individual characteristics shine through is something that you learned from your grandmother, am I right?
Yes, 100%.
And how did she kind of influence, or how did she preach that towards you? How did she get her message across? Because it seems to have had a profound impact on you.
It definitely did. And my grandmother, she was very big on allowing, or very big on making sure we knew who we were. You know what I mean? And when I say knew who you were, I know when you're a kid, you don't know who you are, but like, giving us a good moral palette to be able to know what is right, what is wrong, things that are we doing something because we want to do it? Are we doing it because our friends are doing it? Are we doing, you know what I mean? And she kind of kept us guided in that way, and let us know from an early age that it's okay to be deviant. You know what I mean? If you're a bit different, it's fine. If you're very different, it's also fine. If you're similar, there's nothing wrong with that either. But as long as in all of those situations, you are real to yourself, true to yourself, and that's what she really that's the impact she really had on us. So.
Fantastic, yeah. I want to bring you back a little bit then to college. You went to UCD. You were giving me a bit of stick saying that I settled for DCU.
Yeah, the inverted letters.
But Northside representing and all of that.
Fair.
But you studied politics, so tell us about your time in UCD. How was that? Did you enjoy college?
I didn't really have the college experience that most people had, because I was just kind of, I've been doing music professionally since I was in like 6th year, so I was very much focused on that. But for the most part, it was alright.
So was college more of a thing, like just a tick in the box kind of exercise?
Literally, it was
get
like
that piece
I just
of paper
need
and
to
get out.
100%. I just need to get this done, because once I'm done, I know my mom isn't gonna hound me over.
And it's something.
And it's our family's security net.
Yeah,
exactly. Like if the rap career didn't work out, hopefully it does, and it is working out at the moment. It is something to fall back on as well. You chose politics. Was politics a certain interest of yours at that time?
Yeah, I've always been kind of very politically inclined, interested in politics. I'm influenced a lot by my big brother. He studied politics as well. He's very, very brilliant mind. So I always tried, from when we were young, I always tried to like imitate him in a way, or like not really imitate, but like grow in his image as well, because that's someone who I respected and I really like valued as a role model. So I wanted to really be like him, and that was when we were younger, and that's even to this day. He definitely plays a role in how I view things, and you can see a lot of me in him. And he was doing politics. He was, from early on, we would have political conversations and all this type of stuff, and very deep and all that kind of stuff. I knew I had an interest in it. Whether I wanted to pursue a career in it, that was more of a retirement plan. So it was never even like a plan B. It was always like, when I'm done music, not even when I'm done music, when I'm at a stage where I can focus on other things later on in my career, then I'll, pursue my political aspirations. So it was never a plan B, because plan B just cast out on plan A. So I'm not, I don't really...
JYellowL for president in 2050.
Well, I suppose at the same time, like, doing the courses probably definitely helped your songwriting in terms of communicating a message.
Most definitely.
And just what you want to say, and just a greater bank of knowledge really for what you want to say.
100%. And the thing I learned about college, which is probably the best thing, especially in like an arts degree or whatever, is your critical thinking, like it increases exponentially. You know what I mean? Like the way you view situations, the way you interpret situations, it definitely has a big impact on that, and it changes you. So it gave me a lot of knowledge, but at the same time, like, I wasn't really going to lectures or nothing like that. I wasn't really attending.
Yeah, we can relate to
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it is
tough.
what it is. It is stuff, but like I wasn't doing all that. I was kind of, so it wasn't even that. It wasn't even that like it was giving me this big bank of knowledge. I'm mostly self-educated, as I believe most of us should all be. But yeah, politics did help me interpret things differently, most definitely.
Fantastic. Yes, so we're in the middle of November 2019 now. The year is nearly at an end. You've had some massive milestones this year. Obviously, a few singles on the release, headline shows both here in Ireland and over in England as well. Do you want to
And Holland.
And Holland. There you go.
Yeah.
Do you want to just reflect on the year? Take us through it and how you've seen it kind of unfurl in front of you.
The year has been mad. This year has been a year for me to really gauge my impact and really know where I'm at, you know, with regards to like, if I go to this place, okay, I have all these listeners here, but if I go to this place, how many of them are going to show up to the show? How many of them are actually interested? And that was crazy in like places like London. And okay, London was probably, at the time, probably seemed more achievable because that's London, it's just across the water. But then when I went to Delft, it's just like a rural area in Holland, not even Amsterdam. Like I didn't even want to go to Amsterdam because that was too big. And we went to Delft and did the headline show in Delft, and then like it was like halfway sold out or something, and full of people there who knew my songs, they knew me, they were singing, they were rapping the words back that I didn't even expect anyone would be able to rap back to me, and that was when I was like, okay. It's like what I'm doing something right. What I'm doing is working. It can take time. It will take time, but it's definitely moving. I couldn't have done this last year. Do you know what I mean? So that was a blessing, and I did all of that. That all came before the FIFA thing as well, which is what I wanted to make sure. I didn't want any smoky mirrors or anything like that. I wanted to know exactly where I'm at, and then whatever comes after is a bonus. So headline show in London was done before that as well. Yeah, man. So now it's just planning on the next thing. See, this is the problem. I'm very like on to the next and da. So I never really take things in.
Yeah.
You know,
I suppose it's kind of hard to. It's a very fast-paced lifestyle.
It's hard, bro. It's hard. And at the same time, because there's a fine line between like appreciation and complacency. I don't want to just soak in the moment and then I just rest on my laurels and be like, yeah, I did that. And then all of a sudden I'm just there and I've lost track of time. Like, oh, I've been kind of soaking this in for a minute now. And then, you know what I mean? So, no, I'm very on to the next. But I guess at some point I'll reflect on everything. Because to me, I haven't really, I've achieved stuff, but it's not even like a speck of what I want to do. So, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
And then over the course of summer 19, there was a lot of festivals that you hit. Any ones in particular stand out for?
Yeah, I did Band on the Strand in Mayo, which was mad. There was I don't know how many thousand kids, but there's so many thousand kids, tens of I don't know, just under 10,000 or 8,000, whatever it was, just singing my songs, or they would get so gassed to see me. They're like, oh, that's JYellowL, that's JYellowL. I was like, what? In Mayo, what the hell? I didn't even know. They're like, oh, what is JYellowL? And they'll go, come get a picture, all on the stage, and they're just actually just looking at me like, whoa. And and it's very mad because I wore my Inspired tank top, and I know that by the end of that, I definitely inspired so many kids because I got a lot of messages and a lot of things from people who were like, oh, I really want to do this when I want to be like you inspired, you did that, etc., and I'm happy. That gives me the most satisfaction, you know what I mean, more than anything, just knowing that I can impact people in that way, and that's a blessing to me. So yeah, man, that's probably the one that stuck out to me the most. But all the festivals were nice, man. Longitude was a different vibe. Electric Pickwick was nice. Headlined the 3 Made by Music stage, that was cool. Forbidden Fruit was nice. Body and Soul was sick. Yeah, Knocking Stock was nice. They were all pretty good. It was alright.
In terms of just live performances, what's the thought process? You know, you can be in the studio and develop your thoughts, but then the live performance is a lot more external. You know, you have to perform to an audience. How do you go about that? Do you have a certain way or method?
I don't really have a method per se. I just kind of know that whenever I'm on stage, I'm I want to give the best account of myself for the people. At the same time, I want the people to enjoy this more than anything. But I'm not just there to entertain. As much as I'm there to entertain, I'm there to inspire. I want them to leave the performance having felt something. Because Maya Angelou said, people forget what you said or what they heard, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So I always want to make them feel something in any type of way, whether it's sets where I'm super energetic and then they know, oh my, there's the energy from that show, or it's where like it's super conscious and thought provoking, and it's like, no, when he what like his set hit me different, like that story he told about this, it really resonated with me, that kind of thing. So yeah, I always want them to take something from it. It's nice, man. I really love performing. That's where it's where I feel most free.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Artistically, most definitely.
And so one of the biggest announcements of 2019 was appearing on the FIFA 2020 soundtrack. So what's the process for that like? Because we have no clue. So like, are you contacted by...
Non-disclosure agreements.
Yeah, a lot of those
There are
would say.
non-disclosure agreements.
But what's the process? Do they reach out to you and are like...
Yeah.
Or do you suggest to them, like, we think this track is good for...
No, so basically they reached out last year. They reached out last year about Medusa because they wanted to use Medusa on the Christmas ad campaign. And that kind of fell through because I think I was too late sending the master version and all that stuff. That kind of fell through. And then when I recorded Ozone, I sent it over to them. And then they were like, yes, we want to use this. This is going to be on this FIFA 20 soundtrack. And they loved it so much. And then they wanted to use it as... They were like, we're going to use it for both game modes, the main landing page, and then the Volta.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, we love it so much. It's going to be the opening page. It's going to be the opening of the demo and all that kind of stuff. They were just getting real excited. They're like, oh man, we love it so much. We want you to do a challenge for it, and then we're going to do a whole challenge for it on Ozone and all that stuff. I was like, cool. By all means, by all means, like do your thing. I mean, so shout out to EA, man. They really
listen.
Support. Yeah, they listen. They love
it. Right, cool. So yeah, we're at the end of 2019, 2020 just around the corner. A new decade. But we'll talk about the year ahead. Album coming out. Do you want to speak to us a little bit about the album? It's finished now, you told me.
Yes.
So what can we expect?
Any details? Any exclusives?
Well, I dropped the first track off the project, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So the album is going to be, it is coming in 2020, but all I can say is the way I'm going to distribute it is going to be it's going to be so that when I distribute it, I'm going to break ground massively. Because I've seen people drop projects and like been really good projects and stuff, but then I think like if they had done a bit better with the distribution and how they got it out to the people, they could have probably got more out of it, just a bit more patience, a bit more, creativity. They could have, like in terms of like getting it out there, they could have really, really got much bigger receptions than they'd have or whatever. And yeah, that's my challenge for the next year.
I suppose today when you're releasing an album, it's how many singles do I release? How far apart? How much promotion do I do? Are these all things you're considering, or are there other avenues that you haven't?
These are things that go through everyone's head, as an artist, because there's a traditional way of doing things, which is that, you release singles, you release an album, etc., etc., etc. But I've always been an irregular person, so every time I try to fit in or like fit into a standard or like a traditional way of doing things, it never works for me. I've noticed that. So, and when you go against the grain, it's always bumpy. So I know, like, I'm aware of all of those things. So what I'm gonna do is going to be completely different to what we've seen, and and it's gonna slap. It might take a lot longer. Who knows? But
you have that patience anyway.
I have that patience.
So one of the final questions as we kind of wrap up here is, if we were to sit back down now, same time next year, what would you like to say about the previous year?
I told you.
I love that.
That's what I'd like. That's what I'd like to say. That's what I'm hoping to say.
Love
Most
that.
definitely.
Yeah. Brilliant, succinct.
Well, look, before we wrap up, Jay, look, you tell us what do you have going on right now for somebody who's just been introduced to you.
Yeah, like I said, I actually just realized I have a crazy back catalogue. I didn't even know that because I always think I haven't released enough music, I haven't done enough this, haven't done enough that. But just going through all my stuff, and I think I put something on my Instagram asking people my top 3 songs, and like it was crazy. People going back songs from like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and all that. And I was thinking, whoa, like that's actually a lot of content. So there's a lot going on. Anyone who discovers me today, safe to say they will have a lot of things to listen to, and there's a lot way more coming and very soon as well. Yeah, man, I'm just working. All I do is work on my craft. So,
do you want to plug your social media channels if anybody's listening?
My social media channels are at JYellowL everywhere. On Twitter, it's at JYellowL, Instagram at JYellowL, Snapchat at JYellowL, Facebook at JYellowL, the whole lot. Spotify, Apple Music, etc. JYellowL.
And
easy.
Stay tuned for big things.
Most definitely.
Jay, thanks a million for sitting down with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, guys.
Brilliant.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Thanks very much.
This has been In Conversation with JYellowL. Thanks a million for listening, and we'll see you next time.
All the best.